Welcome to LOTC Presents Black Glove Mysteries, where every other Friday we will take you on a journey through Italian cinema, specifically giallo, but we reserve the right to take other avenues such as poliziesque, spaghetti westerns, Eurocrime, cannibal films. Either way, you will hear and now see us talk Italian cinema. This is episode 477, double 86. I'm your host, Greg Mortis, along with Ian La Punelli Urza. What's up, Ian?
What do you get off on ecology? Huh? Twat?
He called her twat like 100 times in that movie.
Yeah.
Probably was like, why does he keep calling her twat? We are back tonight. I hope you have enjoyed the last couple episodes as we've been looking at cannibal films from Italian cannibal films, that is. And we decided to extend that month and go into another episode where tonight we are going to be looking at the very first quote unquote Italian cannibal film from Umberto Lenzi, which is none other than Man from the Deep River, aka Sacrifice. Once again, from Umberto Lenzi. This is the one that started the craze. And then we have Cannibal Ferox. So, bam. So, we're going to be looking at both of those films tonight. So, I hope you have done your homework. As we mentioned on the last episode, we'd be reviewing these. If not, stay tuned for our thoughts on those. And I'm super excited. What are you drinking over there, Peroni? I've lost your voice, Ian. I don't hear you.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
Genuine Italian beer.
Really? Peroni
Yeah.
beer? Where'd you find it at?
Most places will sell it, but it is
Okay.
it is an Italian lager. So yeah.
Nice. I'm not a big beer drinker, but that's really cool, man. It makes me want to drink it now so we can go with the
You
episode.
can probably find it at one of your stores. I bet.
I got to crack open my J&B. J&B bottles, what I got to crack open. Ian, I know they'll probably have it at that World Market I took you, or not
I'm
World
sure.
Market,
Yeah.
Wine Total that I took you
Yeah.
to. It had a ton of beers.
Well, I think Hannaford, which would be Food Lion where you're at, I think they just started putting it in there. Like I don't even know if it was
No.
available up until, I mean, I knew you could find it, but it might be kind of taken off or something somewhere.
Wow.
If it because I think it's relatively new to being more widely available. But,
Okay, so pretty tasty.
yeah, I mean it's similar to Stella Artois or Heineken might be my closest comparison to it. It's a green bottle thing, you know. So
I like Heineken, so I could probably get down.
yeah.
So once again tonight, Cannibal Ferox and Sacrifice, aka Man from Deep River. That's what we're going to be reviewing tonight. I hope you have enjoyed this journey as we took them down the cannibal film so far, and we'll have another one on the next episode. Little spoiler, wink, wink. And,
Yeah, I think for the next couple of episodes, we're going to do a cannibal film companion to something else with the same director. I think is what we're going to be doing. So,
and what that's going to end up doing is we're going to pretty much exhaust the Italian cannibal films altogether. So that's pretty cool. I think that's pretty awesome. Ian.
Maybe if we do like an Emmanuel thing or something at some point, we'll cover another one. But
yeah, there is one. What is it? Lost.
Emmanuel and Last of the Cannibals. Yeah.
Yeah, which is in that beautiful.
Or this
beautiful
would be
box set,
this would
the
be
Black
way this would be way down the line. But if we did some of like Bruno Mattei's later films or something, maybe we do some
right.
Bruno Mattei cannibal film.
We could probably get it.
We'll have to do a Mattei month at some point. I don't know if those will be the films we cover before some of the others, truth be told. I think I'd rather do some of the other ones, but that could be something way down the line, you know.
Nice. Yeah. Well, we're super excited. If you have not subscribed to the channel, I hope you'll do that. As every other Friday, you will hear and see Ian and I talking Black Glove Mysteries, as well as you'll see my unboxing videos and different things that we do. So I'd hope that you would definitely subscribe to this channel so you can keep up with everything. Super exciting stuff here, in my opinion.
Yes, and I will say too, if you request something, we'll probably get to it. I mean, someone just requested something and we've put that forward as a future episode. I know we did the tough ones at some point. I think someone had requested that high crime. So if you request something on the YouTube channel, it'll probably get our attention. So
yeah, we will definitely look at it. I try to keep up with all of the comments as they come in. Sometimes it takes me a few days to actually, kind of get into the comment section, but I do try to get over there and I do try to comment to everyone. And I think everyone that's already, looked at our channel knows that I do try to keep up with that. So, with that said, we did have the comment from, and I was going to look it up here. It was on our last episode, Ian, and I wanted to go ahead and get to that one comment as well. So over on the comment section, we had one from, was it on this one or the other one? Yeah, we had four. So it was over on this one. Dude McMahon 6936, and he has recommended a movie
this
for us
isn't the
to,
first time.
yep,
From
and we've tried to accommodate to that. So if you, like Ian said, if you're watching the channel and you got any suggestions, comment on the episode, and we'll try to definitely squeeze it in somewhere. Might not be the very next episode, but we are definitely looking at comments and trying to get what you want us to review out there, because there's a lot of movies that Ian and I are ready to review. So we'll get into that. So that said, we're going to go ahead and get right into the episode, and we'll do chronological order, which is what we typically like to do, or I do. So we're going to look at the technically very first Italian I almost say zombie film, cannibal film, and that is Sacrifice, aka Man from Deep River, from Umberto Lenzi. So I'm gonna send it over to Ian and let you do the plot synopsis, my friend.
Okay, so I'm taking this from the back of the Media Blaster Shriek Show DVD from back in the day.
Nice.
Man from Deep River is the landmark film that started the worldwide cannibal movie craze, recognized as the first cannibal horror film. It combines the most harrowing reality elements of the infamous Mondo films and the graphic violence of the Giallo. This is the film that opened the floodgates for cinematic atrocities like Diodato's Cannibal Holocaust and Jungle Holocaust, and Lenzi's own Cannibal Ferox and Eat 'em Alive. Follow a photographer as he journeys through the treacherous jungles of Southeast Asia, attacked and captured by a tribe of jungle-dwelling savages. He attempts an escape and commits a barbaric act that strangely earns him the respect of the natives. As a sign of acceptance, the tribe attempts to assimilate him into their fold, initiating him through a series of brutal and sadistic rites. Can he survive?
Dum, dum, dum. You always got to love them. Instantly, we have the great Ivan Razumov, who we've already seen before in some cannibal films. And this is awesome, man. I love, as soon as I see him coming off the plane, I'm like, yeah, baby, we got some Ivan Razumov. We got Mimi Lai in this one as well, or Mimi Lai. I think I want to call her Mimi Lai because that's what Eli Roth calls her. I know some other call her Mimi Lai. Either way, the cannibal, we'll call her the Cannibal Queen. She's been noted as that. And then you got some other members we'll get into. But basic storyline, like you said, is John Bradley, who is played by Ivan Razumov, is going on this wildlife journey into Thailand, or into the Thai rainforest, to photograph wildlife, and that's where he ends up, becoming captured or engulfed into this cannibal world, right? So love the, I'm gonna go ahead and spoil something right up front. I told Pearl watching this movie, I actually had almost tears in my eyes by the end of this movie, man. This movie really touched me for some reason, man. By the end of this movie, I was like, wow, I should not be feeling these kind of emotions watching a cannibal film, especially with some of the nature of it. But to be honest, Ian, this one is very light on cannibal and a lot more on story for me. And
yeah.
I really got into the story of this one. John ends up with this cannibal tribe, ends up becoming part of, because he ends up falling in love with the character Mimi Lai, and they end up, she's impregnated, and some things happens there, Ian, that just really, man, I thought, coming from Umberto Lenzi, I was really surprised, but I was like, wow, dude, that was some good storytelling in this movie, because you feel it. Like, you're following his character through this whole movie, and at first, he is that typical photographer, and he's doing these different things, and then he's captured, and they're putting him through some trials and stuff. But it's the emotions between him, and I thought Mimi just really, man, she was amazing in this movie. I thought she was phenomenal. That it just really touched me, man, a lot. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, when I first watched this movie years ago, what I thought was, okay, this is basically like Dances with Wolves, Avatar, The
Ooh.
Last Samurai, whatever story you want to use of a man sort of being found or captured by this sort of tribe or trying to assimilate themselves into this sort of way of life,
Mhm.
and them coming away a much changed person because of that, or they end up becoming a part of it so much to where they identify as that instead of what they were before. And it's basically that within a cannibal film. It was also based on the story and probably some, although I don't remember when the movie was made. I think the movie might have been after this, based on a man called Horse. So that's what it kind of derives itself from. But it is interesting in that regard. I just remember thinking the first time I watched it, I was like, oh, this is basically like Avatar or Dances with Wolves within a cannibal setting instead.
Yeah, I've never seen A Man Called Horse, believe it or not.
I haven't
And
either, actually. I do want to watch it though, because
I do
I
too.
I saw that it has Richard Harris in it, which is a good enough reason to watch it.
I know Umberto Lindsay did say specifically that this was took from Man Called Horse, so they definitely used that story for this and just put it in a cannibal world. I thought the acting in this one was really, really strong. I really, like I said, Ivan Razumov acted his ass off. I thought Mimi did too. I mean, literally. Uh, we see a lot of Ivan Razumov and Mimi in this one. There's some scenes where there's some uh, sexual rendezvous that are pretty interesting in this one. One specifically in I guess, a room of flour or something.
Yeah.
Was pretty. The fact that they're in there doing what they're doing, I don't see how they were breathing. Like if you've been around flour, it gets up in your lungs. You can't breathe, and they're like rolling around in this. And I'm like, wow, good for them. They're great. I thought the music was good in this one. I thought the cinematography for what it was good. Once again, very light on cannibalism, but you do get some in this one. And I thought that the action sequences were good. So there's a lot of good stuff going on here. But I think the strong suit of this one is absolutely the freaking script. I just thought the story from Francesco Barilli, Massimo Duvac, and definitely Umberto Lindsay had his hand in it. I thought was great. I just really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah, apparently it had derived from the sort of Mondo films and all that as well. So it's kind of interesting how it sort of came to be, where it's based on a man called Horse and the Mondo films. And it's interesting how me and my dad had talked about it, because I told him, if you're going to get to one of these two films we're covering, get to this one, because I think you'll probably like it more. And it's a little bit tamer. I mean, it still has the animal cruelty, it still has some cannibalism in it and stuff, but it's not as it does focus more on the story and the John Bradley, right?
Yeah.
That character more so, and what he goes through. Than anything else. And there's like a real culture kind of to it, where we see the natives and what they do on a day-to-day basis. There's the whole thing with the witch doctor and him having conflict, because
Yeah.
he's he's able to save this kid with traditional medicine, which I thought was really cool. Like, he's like, okay, this kid has diphtheria, let me save him.
Hmm.
He basically, like, for lack of a better way, like, he kind of stabs these things into him into his throat to put the medicine in, and that was kind of cool.
Hmm.
Uh, you have, I mean, you do have some animal cruelty. There's like the alligator scene that was reused in other films,
Yeah.
obviously,
Yeah.
or the crocodile. There's the cockfighting scene that we see at one point as well, which is a little bit different in terms of what we normally see for animal cruelty, but it
Yeah.
is there. But it's more focused to me on the story, and there's some really sort of adorable moments to me at certain points, where he's trying to tell her where he's from, and to say London, and boy and kid, and husband, whatever, all those words that he's teaching her to say. And then he's teaching her about roads and cars and all that kind of stuff,
Mhm.
which kind of reminded me of like the scene in The Time Machine, where Rod Taylor's talking to I can't remember her name in the movie, but the woman, and he's like trying to teach her about the past. It kind of reminded me of that.
Mm.
uh but I just I really have always enjoyed that aspect of this film, is that it's more about him ingratiating himself and falling in love. And she's kind of curious of him right away for whatever reason. She's always smiling at him, going in to see him. There's that part when she brings in food and then he like bites her arm or whatever. So there's that aspect to it. Her sort of guardian or whatever can speak English, so they end up speaking English. He tries to escape at one point and ends up killing the guy she's supposed to marry.
Mm-hmm.
So there was that aspect to it. It's interesting that Mimi Lay can kind of, in all three of these films that she's in, these cannibal films, she's playing very different characters, I would say, in all three of them.
100%.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
I agree with you on there. And you're right about the way that they're kind of following their story. And I did like the scene where Mimi is, her and some girls are in the water playing, and of course they're nude. And you see Ivan's character, John, looking down at her, and she instantly becomes bashful and covers herself up. It
Yeah.
was that moment I thought was like that telling moment, like she sees him in a different light than she did before. So, it was those sweet moments like that he put in the film. And I say sweet, like we're talking cannibal films, we're talking sweet. But this is that tight love story in this movie. And I thought it was just really handled well. I really was impressed. But I
Yeah.
did like that moment where she just kind of covers herself because she's embarrassed. She's like, "Oh, I don't," but you're walking around, you're nude the whole time. Like, it's not like he hasn't seen this already. But the animal cruelty, once again, I agree with you, Ian, is always horrible, and we talk about it each episode now because it is in these cannibal films, unfortunately. And listening to like Diodato and different ones talk about it. It's never good. It's never good. I don't care. And I get, they're trying to justify that it was 35 years ago. It was a different time and different audiences were watching and different things, but it's still hard. Like Pearl was visibly upset on the one we'll be reviewing next because of a lot of the animal cruelty. So I'm telling you and Ian
In
as
that
well,
film, I almost think they tried to upstage it, truth be
they
told.
did.
But yeah, compared to this one.
Yeah, but I'm letting everybody know again, and I know Ian would do this as well. There is those trigger moments in here. So if you are going in to watch these, we're letting you know that they are in there. There are those moments. When I see it coming, I tell Pearl, don't look, because it's hard to watch. It is, no matter what. So different time, whatever, I get it, but still it's hard to watch, and I wish
Well, and for me, like, I'm not a person who likes that stuff. I'm just more indifferent to it, right? I can make it through a film if it has it in there, but that doesn't mean that I'm, rewinding the film and watching those scenes. Absolutely.
absolutely.
No, that's not,
No.
that's not,
No.
it's not a thing I like. It just happens to be what comes with this genre.
Yeah, it does. You have to look at it into that avenue, but it's not good. But with that said, when you go into Sacrifice, man, this movie, or Man from the Deep River, whichever one you want to call it, which do you prefer, by the way, the title? I think Man from the Deep River.
I kind of like Man from Deep River more, actually.
100%, 100%. But I like how that John is able to kind of, once there's even that moment where Mimi is being chosen, like, she's going to be wed and have a baby or whatever, and they're basically, these guys line up, and the way that she chooses her man is like, okay. Ian, you probably wanted to have your hand in the hole too, I'm sure. But
for sure. But it was interesting. She identifies him because he holds her hand, doesn't do anything else. So that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, but it's like all these guys line up, all these tribe members, and they're all like going in fondling her and different things, and not John, because he loves her, like he legit loves her. And I think the father, the chief, realizes that and why he lets him in. And you see those moments where his character is basically like, the helicopter shows up at one scene. He's trying to, be saved, right? But you see as time goes on, he's actually becoming somewhat of this tribe, maybe just because of her. But I think he does start seeing this tribe as something different than what I think the regular world would see him as. So I did like how they handled that.
And he finds that primal side to him. I mean, at the end, towards the end, he does something to someone that he never would have done earlier in the film. So he does find that side to him, as probably anybody would when you're around that sort of that setting and that culture for as long as he is.
Mhm.
Like I said, he does go through a development and an arc here, and it's interesting when it ends where it's like, okay, let's just say he loses something towards the end of the film, but it does feel like he's probably, I mean, the film ends kind of sadly, but
Yeah.
sorrowful, but it doesn't end in a really depressing way where you think he's not going to be able to recover or do anything
Yeah.
from this. It's like, okay, he still has something at the end of this film.
True. Do you ever or do that? I did not real, I don't remember them, mentioning it, but do you remember how long it was that he was in that jungle from start to finish?
I don't think they ever really talk about it. I mean, I
Uh,
assume it's probably been like maybe half a year or something. Who
yeah.
knows? It may have not even been that long. I mean, when you're in that sort of setting,
Mm.
even just for a certain amount of days, it's gonna be different. It's almost like watching Survivor. It's like they're on that for 39 days or whatever. He's here for as long as he is. It's gonna change you
Mm.
if you're just away from civilized world for even just a little while. So
Yeah, I feel like you're saying because the helicopter's sent out a few times during the movie, and I wouldn't think 5, 6, 7 years they would be out looking for him. I think
no, it wouldn't be
it would
that
be
long.
within a reasonable amount of time that they're still doing that. So I thought, like I said, the acting and it's a 93-minute long movie, an hour and 33 minutes. I thought was or hour and 13 minutes, right? 60, 120. No, I'm sorry, 93 hour and 33. So I thought it was a quick movie. I didn't feel like it was very long. I thought the what little bit of cannibalism they showed in there was good. I thought once again the cast was great. The music was done by who was the music done? Danielle Patitucci. Patitucci.
Love the
Uh,
theme. I think the
I
theme
did.
is very memorable.
It
Yeah.
is. It is. And I think that was the best part of the movie for me, other than, the story was that musical note, that theme song. I really enjoyed that. But for 1972, I mean, I thought Umberto Lenzi, really knocked this one out of the park. I thought he definitely hit that, okay, where are you going to go from here? And I know everyone else that came in after him had to try to build on it or try to outdo it. Of course, Cannibal Holocaust comes in with a different take, and it's on a whole different level. But I just really thought this one really came out really well. I thought the artwork for the poster art they used for Man from Deep River is really cool with the box head thing, which is pretty awesome, dude. It says he dared the forbidden river where adventure ends and hell begins. Some really good moments in this one, but it's a touchy. Like I'm telling you, like, dude, I don't know if it's just me getting older, Ian, but I'm literally at the end of this movie thinking, man, I'm about ready to hold a tear back. Like, dude, I should not
Yeah.
be doing this. Like,
Yeah.
it's a freaking cannibal movie. But I appreciated it. It was different. So I give them A plus for freaking giving us something different than I was expecting. Because this is the first time watching. This was a first time viewing. So with that, I went into this thinking it might be a little bit different, and I was shocked, dude. I was really shocked. What you got on this one as far as any other trivial things you want to talk about on this one?
Well, so I did watch the quick interview that Umberto Lenzi had on this DVD, which probably would have been about close to 20 years ago, actually, maybe a little longer.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so so they shot it in Thailand. I'm just trying to look here. They shot in the jungle around the Burmese border. Franco Fantasia, who we've seen in some of these films, actually was the assistant director. It was a 4 month shoot. All the other actors were locals from tribes. He always said one particular word to the actors who couldn't speak English. Apparently, it was that was kind of funny when he explained it. Um, the one extra asked him what that word means at one point. He says, "I actually don't know what it means." So he says the cannibal scene with the woman later in the film, he says actually that might have been, he says he thinks that was the first like actual cannibal scene ever shot on film.
Oh wow.
um so, and he might be right. Actually, the woman in it apparently was like a local prostitute who agreed to shoot the scene. Apparently, um, he was asked to make another cannibal film right away.
Mm.
They had a contract, and he wanted triple the fee that he did for directing this film. And the producers ended up hiring Diodato to do Last Cannibal World. He said they needed two of the three people, which they ended up getting, obviously, with Rasimov and Mimi Lay
Hmm.
to do that, to honor that contract. So that's what they ended up doing.
Yeah. And I think it worked having both of them. It definitely tied in that world. And great actors as well. I thought that, this was shot in Thailand. So I thought the jungle aspect of it looked well. It looked, there was some river scenes and some different things which you would expect to have in these jungles. I thought the set of it was pretty cool. I know that Mimi talks about how it was always hard to film in these areas. So you got that aspect going, and the fact that we'll say it again, how that she always mentioned how Lamberto was always screaming and yelling, and she really, really enjoyed Ivan Razumov as well, as what was his name from uh, Last Cannibal World. Oh God, I can't think of his name. Um,
Massimo Foshi.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Massimo. And she really mentioned him in the interview I saw where she was, and the interviews that we're seeing are like going through all these movies, like they're redoing the same interview or playing the same interview. But anyways, she did mention how that he was so sweet to her and how she learned more from him than Umberto because Umberto's just always yelling and he's like trying to teach her. And the same with Ivan. She said Ivan was a pro and was so sweet, and she really, really loved Ivan Razumov. So it was good to hear that there wasn't any ill ill words toward this guy because I really like Ivan Razumov. He always plays that heavy or that villain.
Sometimes, most of the
Yeah,
time he does, but this is a notable exception.
right. So I'm like, okay, fine. Yeah, we're hearing some good stuff about it. But yeah, she did think that he was such a sweet guy. So I was glad to hear that. But once again, music great in this, and cinematography's it works for this movie. Everything worked in this movie for me. It just really hit on every note. I don't know what I would have changed per se, Ian, to be honest. Maybe a little bit more cannibalism, but in this story, I don't think it really warranted it. I don't think. I think it was going for a different feel. Is that kind of where you're at?
Yeah.
I just felt like they handled it just enough cannibalism to give it a cannibal name, but they gave you basically a love story. Let's be honest. This is a love story movie, in my opinion, that I thought they handled so well. And Mimi, man, I'm telling you, Mimi acted her ass off in this movie, man. She done so good. I love the witch doctor. I love the whole makeup dude.
Yeah, I enjoyed him. Like, he had a presence as a character. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's his mannerisms. He don't really talk, but it's all these facial. Is he mad at you? Is he ready to put a hex on you or whatever? There's one scene where he's doing like voodoo type dolls in the fire and different things. So all those aspects I thought were handled really well. So good stuff on this one. Let's look at the cast, Ian. I think we have, of course, we've mentioned Ivan and Mimi. A lot of the cast, that's all I recognize in here. What about
Yeah.
you?
That's it for me. The I will say the only thing I have on dubbing for this is the guy who plays Chuan, um his like guide at the beginning.
Yeah.
That I can't tell if it's Larry Dolgan or Frank von Kugelgen who is dubbing him. It's one of the two. I think it's Larry Dolgan, but I'm not sure.
Okay. Uh, Song Su Song Soon Hood played the witch doctor, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh man, I loved it. I love it. Yeah.
I find Thai names to be the hardest of the Asian names to say correctly most of the time.
Yeah, I'm looking
Yeah.
at some of them now. It would be Pipop Pupino played Miwan, on guard. So, anyways, the cast members basically you're watching is John Bradley played by Ivan and Mariah played by Mimi Lay. That's your cast. Everything else is kind of their characters, but not really. You're watching them too. I really enjoyed it, Ian. I love this movie. I don't know what else you want to do on this one, but I really had a lot of fun. And for a first time viewing, I would definitely rewatch it. I will go into it knowing what I'm going to expect and go into it like that and really break down some more scenes. But I really enjoyed this movie, man. I was impressed.
For like Hall of Fame rankings and stuff like that. Mimi Lay, this is her third film, probably going to be her last one. So we have her at a superstar. Rasimov is obviously Hall of Famer. We've seen him, or all time great, actually. We've seen him in so many films at this point as a star, and we're not even done yet. There's going to be more. So Rasimov is just one of our guys here on the show.
Yeah, you gotta love them. All right, so with that said, Ian, I guess you're ready for ratings.
Yeah.
All right, so that's Man from Deep River. So I'm pulling up my chart here. All right, there we go. So where you come in for a rating 1 to 10 on Man from Deep River?
I'm actually giving it a 10. I love this movie.
Damn right, buddy. I'm going to come in. I've got it 4.5. I'm going to give this I'm in between a 9 and a 9.5 because it's a first time viewing and I really want to watch it again and just really soak it in. But honestly, I saw nothing wrong other than animal cruelty that really pissed me off. But I'm gonna go with God, Ian. It's tough. I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go 9.5. I'm gonna go 9.5 on Man from the Deep River. Really strong love story cannibal film.
Yeah.
Light on cannibal, heavy on love story, but I'm telling you, a damn good movie, man. And this Blu-ray, this one has the documentary Cannibal World, Mondo Cannibal 25th anniversary. You got a fully illustrated booklet, HD transfer. So that's what you had inside there. And I did have the booklet. This is the Raro video. So the Raro video release of that. So with that said, man, I'm super glad that we got this one in our collection now. And I will talk about this as we finish this episode out. So I will circle around to cannibal movies that I was telling Ian I had to do recently, order another movie. So we'll get to that. But with that said, that is Sacrifice, aka Man from Deep River, 10 and a 9.5. Let's head over to you, Ian, as we look at our final movie of the episode. And this is from 1981. And we're going to go to the infamous, we're going to go to the Umberto Lenzi. Oh, yeah, we're going to another Umberto Lenzi, and it's called Cannibal Ferox. So what you got for a plot?
Okay, so I'm just going to take this from the back of the Grindhouse Blu-ray. Cannibal Ferox assaults your senses as a group of Americans lost in the jungles of Amazonia experience brutal retribution at the hands of blood-crazed cannibals. Shot on location in the savage Amazon wilds of South America, Cannibal Ferox is one of the most violent and shocking films ever made. There are at least 24 scenes of barbaric torture and sadistic cruelty graphically shown. If the presentation of this disgusting and repulsive subject matter upsets you, please do not view this film.
That's pretty good voice, everybody. All right, so Cannibal Ferox, Umberto Lenzi once again. This is 1981, so we're 9 years past his original. And I've got to say, this one's heavy on cannibal. They're definitely trying to one-up Cannibal Holocaust for sure, in my opinion. They're definitely trying to throw everything at the wall, so to speak, to see what sticks. Lots and lots and lots of animal cruelty in this one. And
yeah, the anaconda and the anteater is the scene I think of. The anteater, I actually I like the way the anteater looks. Actually, I think it's a pretty cool animal.
Yeah, you don't see that in movies. Like I don't see an anteater in hardly any movies. And Pearl was really getting teed off. She was getting upset over the animal cruelty. So this one definitely heavy trigger warner on that because there is a ton of it.
The part with the pig. Do you know the story about that scene?
No. What's up with that one? Do I need
to know Giovanni, or I'm just going to call him Johnny.
Oh, I got you. Yeah,
Giovanni Lombardo Radice. I'm just going to call him Johnny because that's what he liked to be called in English, and it's easier for me to say. He refused to do that, and you can tell it's a double doing that. And Lenzi said Robert De Niro would have done it, and Lenzi's and Johnny was like, Robert De Niro would have kicked your ass all the way back to Rome.
I love that, dude, because he's right, man. Don't throw his name out there.
Which is, those two apparently did not get along particularly well. Lenzi has said nothing but good things about him, but Radice, I think over the years, he's talked about how he's worked with other directors who are kind of similar, very animated, but there was something about Lenzi he just didn't particularly like his style and the way he yelled and everything like that. Like he just didn't particularly like working with him for whatever reason. And he did not like this film. Apparently he had talked about how up until this point, most of the I mean, he had played villains before, obviously in films, but
Yeah.
he had said most of the time they were victims. This might be the only character he's played really that has a true mean streak in his characterization, even though he's played villains, like I've said, or antagonists before. And he had said to Lenzi, he was originally supposed to play the Joe character, which is a friend of Mike's, and he had told Lenzi, he's like, I'm playing Mike or I'm not doing the film. So
Yeah.
that's what his sort of ultimatum was. So of course they made him Mike. And this is actually, ironically enough, more of a character that David Hess would play, really.
100%.
And I think there are a few reasons maybe why he doesn't like this film. It might have just been a bad experience for him shooting wherever they were. Could have had to do with his drug addiction at the time, because he talked about how him and Danilo Mattei were like high on cocaine for most of the film. But I think it might have more to do with the type of character he played and the animal cruelty present in the film. And that's why he doesn't like it, because he's never really said, I mean, he seems to be maybe dismissive of some of the other films he's in, because he is he has a theater background, and everything like that. So maybe he's just he prefers to be more known for what he did there. But this film in particular, he seems to have a particular sort of resentment toward. And I think that might be why. It's just the type of character he played in here and the animal cruelty stuff.
Probably. Looking at the characters, you got Rudy, who's played by Danilo Mattei that you mentioned, and Gloria, played by Lorraine DeSalle, and their brother-sister duo. And then they're joined by Pat, played by Zora Korova. You get to see a lot of Zora Korova in this one. But you got Rudy and Gloria with their friend Pat, and they're on this journey into the jungles. And we find out there's maybe some rubies or some kind of gems.
Emerald, I think,
Emeralds is what it was, and maybe some drugs. They're introduced to Mike and Joe. Mike played by Giovanni Lombardo Radici, as well as Joe played by Walter Lucchini. So that's your cast members mainly in this one. Other than you got you got Venatini,
yeah,
who plays Sergeant Ross, and you got Kerman playing Lieutenant Rizzo, Robert Kerman. So it's cool to see both of them. But the main characters are Rudy and Gloria at the beginning, and Pat, and they're on this journey. They land. They're in these jungles in Colombia, and they're basically Pat. You can tell is a loose cannon. You can tell she's like a flower child type character in this movie. She's free willed. Ready to just party.
Bit naive as well. I mean, I think all of them are the college kids. I mean, that's one thing. Eli Roth, when he made Green Inferno, basically people talk about him being inspired by Cannibal Holocaust, but I think he takes a lot from all of the cannibal films, and the idea of the naive college students going into the jungle, sort of investigating cannibalism. I mean, it wasn't a direct tie, because in that movie they're doing like a social justice warrior type protest, but it's similar to how it deals with sort of these naive college students running into cannibalism in the jungle.
100%. 100%. And you can see it. I love Green Inferno, by the way. If you've not seen Green Inferno.
Yeah, I do like that film.
What is that, like 2013, I think?
Something like that, maybe a little after that.
Yeah.
But that could be a film we could cover at some point if we wanted to do like American films inspired by Italian films or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely check it out. It was 2013 Cannibal Inferno, or Green Inferno. But back to this one, Rudy and Gloria and Pat, and they go on this trip, and then they're introduced once again to Mike, and that's when they're introduced to Mike and Joe. Joe's injured when they find him, so they don't know what's going on. They also notice that some tribe members are looking a little sketchy, like they're a bunch of older cannibal tribe members in a circle by this hut, and they're just sitting there, and they look scared. Rudy's even talking about it. we go to find out, here's the boil of the movie here. So basically, Mike and Joe has been over antagonizing these cannibals, trying to get them, much like Cannibal Holocaust, trying to rile them up, doing these evil things to them and poking the bear, so to speak, over and over to the point that they finally poke back. And unfortunately, Rudy and Gloria and Pat happen to be in the middle of it. And that's your gist of this movie. And there's a lot of cocaine involved with Mike's character, and then Pat ends up getting involved in that. And then there's the emeralds, and there's all these different, a lot of these stuff going on. This definitely has a lot more cannibalism in it. There's the scene from Cannibal Holocaust that we look at that's the most notorious, which is the hanging of the girl on the pole. This one, you got the hanging of an individual by the breast.
With the hooks, yeah.
God, that was brutal.
And then you got the castration scene, which the Mike character fully deserved. Yeah. I did find it. So I'm like, okay, he gets castrated. They cauterize the wound. And then he's still pretty able to kind of move around and do whatever he wants to do. I'm like, I don't know if you'd be able to just kind of be able to just go around like that. I mean, I not that I know from experience in terms of what it's like to go without that body part, but it's like one of those things where I'm like, man, seems pretty capable to be able to do whatever he wants right after that.
Well, especially it wasn't done surgically. Like, this is legit from a cannibal, from a dirty blade. That's, this is not like surgical weaponry here.
Right.
This is very primitive. And I'm like, dude, I think it would not go well for you like it did on here. But it's a movie, so whatever. But that scene was brutal too. So there are those scenes, there are those gut-wrenching scenes in this one that really had me going. But what did you think? Like, how did you feel of this movie as you're watching it? Is there too much going on, or do you feel like it's okay the way it went, or do you feel like they had too many side stories going? Or
no, I mean, I think it's fairly simple for the most part. You got the New York stuff where the cops are trying to find Mike. And there's these mobsters involved, which we had eventually learned that he ripped them off or something.
Yeah.
So his girlfriend, played by the woman who's also one of the composers of the film, by the way, and the cops basically the cops find her and try to see, if she knows where Mike is or what's going on. Yeah, the college students, the Gloria character trying to prove that cannibalism is a myth. You've got Mike and Joe who are in the jungle looking for emeralds and cocaine. Yeah. You've got sort of the relationship between Pat and Mike that comes to fruition as the film goes along. Rudy and Gloria being brother and sister. Rudy being a pretty capable character throughout, trying to fight back and get himself out of the situations that he's in. So I mean, there's some stuff going on, but it's not like there's not too many moving parts to be able to manage, I think.
Yeah, I think it fits in this world. I think it fits that a little bit like if you go back to Slave of the Cannibal God or something like that, this one I felt like, it does keep in the avenue, but I thought the acting was good in this one. I did love, and I do love Giovanni, man. Rest in peace. But I do love Giovanni as an actor and following him. He does play a bastard in this movie. He is a not a nice guy, and Pat being free loving and free like she is, it kind of fit with what they're doing in that situation. It's a bad situation on Rudy's part, like Rudy and Gloria showing up at the god awfulest wrong time. Like, if they would have known this was going on, that Mike and them had already been poking that bear, they would have never showed up, of course. But Gloria, like, there is no cannibals. She's trying to get her doctorate. And at the end of this movie, I thought was a great scene where you see what happens without spoiling anything. But that last scene was like, wow, okay. But I don't know, man. I enjoyed this one for what it was. I did have a lot of reservation watching it this time because of the animal cruelty, but it's 93 minutes long. If you censored it, it's 83. You could watch this one with 2 deleted scenes, and I did find out those deleted scenes were basically some of the scenes with some of the animal. But you can do that. But it's another movie. I felt like this one was a little bit longer feeling, even though it's the same time. But I think it's because of so much going on I don't know. There's a lot of cannibalism going in this one. There's some eating and some different things that you didn't see in the previous one. But cast wise, who else do we have in here that would have been of any? Well, you mentioned Fiamma Maggione. Who?
Yeah, Bob Kerman,
Yeah.
his third Cannibal film as well. Valentino Valentini, who worked with Giovanni Lombardo Radice before this, obviously, in
Mhm.
City of the Living Dead. John Bartha, who plays the Brooklyn mobster. I always call him like the Italian Danny Aiello because he kind of looks like Danny Aiello. Perry Perkinen, who played the other cameraman in Cannibal Holocaust, is sort of his henchman.
Okay.
Um, yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
Nice.
Um, Lorraine DeSalle. So I don't mean for this to sound harsh. I'm just kind of being real. She looks kind of homely without makeup on. You see her more with makeup on at the end of the film where the hair straightens. She looks really good. But I just want to give credit to her for doing that and being able to get down in the mud in certain scenes and everything. She does a good job here.
Yeah. Her acting come off really stale in this movie, and I think some of that's the dubbing, but I felt she was kind of wooden in this movie, to be honest. The scenes like the scene where they're in the they're put in the pit, and she says, "We should just sing. Let's just sing." Well, they start singing, which whatever. But I'm like, oh my God, dude, what are we doing right now? But I guess, hey, you're stuck in a pit. You're never going to get out. You might as well do whatever you're going to do, right? Let's just sing it out and kumbaya or something here. But I don't know. I just felt her acting was a little stale. But I really liked Rudy. I agree with you on Rudy's character, man. I think he was very worthy, and he was very his character was believable in being able to do what he was doing in this jungle and what he had to try to do to survive. So I did like his character. I thought Danilo Mattei, I thought he done really good. But man, to me, it's Giovanni. Man, I was always such a fan of his. And he says in the documentary on this one that because of his dislike of this movie, it's anytime you'd see his name, they'd always put these little blurbs. Anywhere you'd see Giovanni attached to this movie, there'd be a little blurbs like, I hated this movie, or I don't like this movie. Or
Well, it's like the very first thing he says in the commentary. He's like, "What can I say about this movie? I hated it." What's interesting, just a quick side note, is the more I find out about him, the more I'm like not all that surprised. And again, I don't mean for this to sound harsh or whatever, but I'm not that surprised he only lived till 68 years old. Like, he had a cocaine addiction. He apparently chain smoked a lot. I mean, you would know this too because you interviewed him once,
yeah.
and he seemed like a nice guy and everything, but he seemed to treat his health rather liberally.
Yeah.
So it's interesting because in the commentary, he can speak English really well. He's pretty easy to understand. Like, was the interview with him difficult at all with a language barrier or anything? Or
No, I mean, he had moments where you could tell he had to pause to think of what he was going to say, but no, he had a grasp of the English dialect. I wish I would have had the opportunity, because off air we had talked, and he's like, "Man, if you ever come to Rome," he said, "hit me up, man. I'll definitely be your tour guide and show you." I was like, "Dude, man, if I could have been
that
there,
would have been that would have been
God,
great.
to have been able to hook up with Giovanni would have been just a holy grail."
Yeah.
But I do miss him. I do miss him, and I do miss him as an actor. Now, I didn't. I say that like people. I don't know him. Okay, I interviewed him one time, but that was years ago. But I do miss him. I think as a character actor, he was really phenomenal, and just
Yeah.
really, you could tell the theatrical upbringing of him. He's very artistic, and I like that. But I think Ian, you'll agree. I think my favorite role of his is Last House on the Park at the Park. So,
Yes.
but with
Well,
that,
and that was his first movie role too. He had just done theater stuff before that. He didn't have a lot of money apparently, and he just did that as a thing to try to make some money, and it kind of just stuck for him after that. That he started doing a lot of film roles.
mm-hmm. Now this the U.S. release of this was called "Make Them Die Slowly." What did you think of that title?
I kind of like it, and it kind of goes with the line that's in the film.
Mm.
So, yeah,
Agreed. I think that as a U.S. Release, I think it would definitely bring more people to the theater that was just like, or wherever you would have seen this. I think it would have fit the audience more because the Cannibal is such a niche. Like so many people are going to be either put off or enjoy. You know what I mean? So if you come in with a movie called Make Them Die Slowly, like, oh yeah, sure, this might be a good action flick, and then they get in and see what they saw. But, but Cannibal Ferox does put it in that niche. You're like, okay, this is a and it is a cannibal film. It's straight up a cannibal film, without a doubt. Do you? And we'll get to ratings, but between Cannibal Holocaust and Cannibal Ferox, where is your thoughts?
Holocaust is a better film. And I actually really like this one though. Revisiting this, I had much more appreciation for it and much more fun with it.
Mm.
I actually came into this thinking this might end up being one of my least favorites. And if I'm going to be honest, I actually think Eaten Alive is worse than this film because that film relies so much on stock footage. And not that I dislike that film, I just
Yeah.
thought comparing it to this one, I do think this one is better.
Yeah, you're right. Because when you go into, it was kind of like the Hills Have Eyes Part Two. If you ever seen the original Have Eyes Part Two, it's basically a rehashing of the first one throughout, just scenes and scenes and scenes, and that's what Eaten Alive was. You're right, 100%. It was just a lot of scenes.
Or like Silent Night, Deadly Night too.
Yeah,
God, that
right.
movie's so bad. I mean, the garbage day thing is funny, but that honestly is a bad movie.
Oh my God, Brian Scott is going to kick your buddy.
It's just yeah. I mean, I like some of the other sequels in that series, but that is not one of them. Actually, the one that has like Bill Moseley is pretty bad too. The one with the witches isn't too bad, and then I did like the Toy Maker actually. The fifth one I actually enjoy quite a bit. But anyway, that's just a quick side note of my opinions of that series. I really enjoyed the commentary for this one, and I had a lot of notes on it. Lindsay and Radice were both on it, and they really talked about a lot of things. So I'm actually going to read quite a few notes from the commentary.
Before you do that, did Radice speak English or was he talking?
They both did.
Okay, great.
Yeah, Lindsay's was much more broken and a little harder to understand, although his was better than Diodato's. He can speak English a little bit better than Ruggero Diodato can. My first note was I don't think they're actually doing this together. I think it might have been the same moderator, but it was edited really well where this sometimes like in the middle of a sentence, the other one would sometimes talk. So it was spliced together really well.
Yeah.
Even though I don't think they were doing it together, which is not surprising. I don't think Radice has a particular liking for Lindsay, although Lindsay seems to be fine with him. But anyway, they shot it in November. The New York scenes were shot in November. The apartment at the very beginning was an Italian actress who was just starting in the actor's studio. Johnny chose the stage name John Morgan. The English name after Morgan was apparently his grandmother's name. Umberto calls Valentino Valentini a friend. Giovanni says he is everywhere and in a lot of movies with me. Giovanni says it took them 3 days to get to Colombia. Lindsay said there was only one phone there in the area where they were. The two cops or the sort of travel advisor guys at the beginning there are Colombian locals. Italians stick a lot of like local or crew people as crew members and little roles in their films. Giovanni was talking about that. He said a lot of the people in that area were rich because of like drug trading, and they all had like rich cars and motorcycles, although he said not really much they can do with them because you can only get to that area by plane. He says it took 3 to 5 hours to get to filming locations by boat. He said Johnny said him and Lorraine DeSalle spoke French to each other a lot. He says that he really likes her. They obviously did House on the Edge of the Park together as well. Said the three main characters are stupid and deserve everything that came with them. He said that they should have stayed home. He said the anaconda wasn't hungry, so they had to kind of pry it to do whatever they did to the anteater.
Right.
Umberto Lenzi says he's not a violent man. He said a lot of the animal scenes were shot like second unit, or some of them were stock footage as well,
Hmm.
which I don't really know if I truly believe that. Truth be told,
Yeah.
Giovanni makes a point. He said they saw what they saw. They kept going. I'm just kind of reading everything out loud here. Um, that one I already talked about. He says, okay, putting people through this filming location, he said you could kind of shoot it really anywhere. He said it was cheaper to shoot there and they could just pay the locals nothing. He says the guy playing Joe, the other friend, was actually a dancer and not an actor, and he had a hard time saying lines in English, so he just ended up speaking his lines in Italian.
Hmm.
Um, the Lenzi apparently would always shout at the sound man who was a local. Um, Giovanni talks about how he would give the children his lunch sometimes when there were local kids around. Um, he said they spoke, and he says he speaks Spanish and a lot of other languages, but he said the locals spoke like a combination of Spanish, Portuguese, and their like own language, so he couldn't communicate with them
Hmm.
particularly well. The sex scene between him and Zora Karova was shot in Rome in January, and it was cold. He says, "I hate sex scenes." He says they're a bore for men because you can't show your genitals. He says you always he says you always have to touch the woman that you're with, but you can never cover her tits. Apparently,
Right.
he said a lot of the native actors wore wigs. Lenzi apparently says that turtle meat is really good. That was going back to the scene where they killed the turtle. The guide actor who we see with the guy who plays Joe and with Johnny who plays Mike, he says he was an engineer apparently. He says that sodium bicarbonate is used for fake cocaine. Um, uh, Giovanni says he tends to do stuff for real and not pretend, which obviously it comes from his theater background. Let's see here more. He says he wrote a different movie for Lenzi years later. Now he just writes for television. Um, he says he thinks that the woman playing Myrna was actually the producer's wife, which I actually think she was just a co-composer, but maybe she was also. He says that him and Danilo Mattei, who plays Rudy, were on cocaine like every day. Um, Italian directors don't work with actors much, according to Radice. He says they're more about the style and everything.
Hmm.
And Berto Lenzi has talked about how it was actually much easier to work with American actors. Um, so they had a lunch break at one point in the scenes where they were rowing the canoes or whatever, and there was like a red pink dolphin, which I believe is like an Amazon type of Amazon dolphin, and they kept rowing towards it, and the locals followed them and told them that it was dangerous to keep going towards that dolphin apparently.
Oh
And
wow.
I'm almost done here, I have a few more. Lorraine DeSalle was scared of animals, apparently. Um, so Lenzi really pushed her in a lot of the scenes, and she would always said Johnny said she would always cry on his shoulder, and she would ask, "Why are they here?" Um, Apparently, Lenzi actually wanted the piranha to bite Danilo. So he said in the scene where they were out of the water and they weren't doing it, they would just die, obviously, because they're fish.
Yeah.
And he had like the costume designer or something sew the piranha's mouth to his leg or something.
You could tell.
Yeah.
You could tell.
Um, Lenzi talks about being sad when Enter the Palace Studios was closed. Uh, Giovanni talked about the set of Cannibal Apocalypse and how he talked about stealing the meat they would have on set. Apparently, the producer that he didn't particularly like was taking some, so he would just take it so the producer couldn't have it or something. He says it was really expensive meat. The interior of the hive that we see Zora Karova and Lorraine DeSalle in was apparently a set,
You could
which you can
tell.
kind of tell.
You 100.
Um, and Giovanni had talked about working with props and certain things and like explosive squibs. He said he was actually scared in Cannibal Apocalypse when that scene happened with his intestines, because he said a lot of the material was actually explosive. He says he's ashamed. of this movie. He talks about it's one thing to be in like a fantasy film, but when you pretend to deal with reality, there's a political side to it, and he doesn't want people to imitate his character in the movie. He says he did movies mainly to give himself more opportunities in theater. He said Zora Kurova had no problem being naked. Lorraine, didn't really particularly care for it. She kept asking Johnny to cover her tits and House on the Edge of the Park and those sex scenes. And Ruggero Deodato apparently kept getting mad about it. He says he feels like he's a better comedy star in theater, but he says he doesn't. He's like, I don't have a face for comedy. I get it. So, the scene where his head gets cut open, he said that stuff was the stuff they used for it was bananas. Lindsay says it was pineapple, so who knows, some kind of fruit, obviously.
Yeah.
And so I did have stuff from the Zora Kurova interview, not as much, but so when she met Lindsay, he was apparently like hurrying, packing stuff, and all he said to someone was he's like, "Yeah, she's good," and he said nothing else in choosing her for the film. She said she didn't like insects much. She knew it was going to be filmed, in the Amazon, but she said if I don't do the film, I'll never get to see this part of the world. So she did it. Apparently, everyone lost a lot of weight in the first week of the film. She said Johnny was a calm guy, nice guy. She said Lorraine was also nice, and a lot of the people played guitar off of filming. She talked about really liking the crew. She says the hooks were glued to her skin with super glue, apparently, or something like that. She was sitting on a small stick that hurt her spine a lot. She said locals had told them not to go out at night, especially on Saturday nights. So she told this story about how she got lost while filming at one point in the area where there are a lot of monkeys. And she had said she was with people and they said they were going to go back to the camp or something. She had said she got lost away from everybody else because she decided to go back on her own, and then she ended up getting lost. And then apparently Giovanni and Danilo ended up finding her at one point after she had gone missing for so long. They went to look and she ended up finding them.
Wow.
So she says she doesn't regret doing the movie at all. She says she's happy that it helped Lindsay's career.
Nice. Good commentary and good interview there for sure. Then
it was actually a really good commentary, like one of the better ones I think I've watched for the show.
Yeah. So in this Cannibal Ferox, which Grindhouse releasing, which I love, once again, Grindhouse releasing does such a tremendous job with theirs. This one did have the shock and deleted footage. You got the breathtaking digital remix. You got Eaten Alive, the rise and fall of the Italian Cannibal film, which is it's like an hour and 21 minutes. It was right at an hour and 20 some minutes. And it basically broke down, it actually, if you're watching it and you pull up the pop-up menu, it'll pull up to the side. And it basically started with Man from Deep River and worked its way down in order by every cannibal film there was. So when I was telling you I was going to circle around, I was telling Ian earlier, like I looked at the list and they had everything from 1972's Man from Deep River all the way to Green Inferno in 2013. But I looked at it, I was like, I've got every one of those films minus one, which was Savage Terror, and I do now have that coming. And Ian, we mentioned about the Emmanuel and the Last Cannibals, which was that other one that we might get into eventually. And I forgot, I actually do have the single release of that as well as it's on that big box set. So I was like, cool, sitting right there. And that's from Joe D'Amato. But anyways, that is a really, really fun, cool documentary watch if you want to check that out. You also have provocative, in-depth interviews with Lindsay and Giovanni Radici, which you mentioned. You've got the Danilo Mattei and Zora special effects master Gino De Rossi. What else we got in here? Gallery, linear notes, all kinds of good stuff. So anyways, bonus CD. You get all that in this movie. So I say that to say it's worth owning. If you're into cannibal films, this I think is definitely one that you should should own, get the Grindhouse release of it. But Ian, what you got in dubbing corner on this one?
I actually have a lot for this one. So, Louis Cinelli is dubbing Venantino Venantini
Okay.
as one of the cops. Ed Mannix is dubbing Robert Kerman as Lieutenant Rizzo, the sort of the main cop. Larry Dolgan is dubbing Perry Perkinen as sort of the other henchman, the one with the gun and the blonde hair, sort of the more heavy of the two henchmen, or the villains
Yeah.
that we see in New York. Andy Luoto is dubbing Walter Lucchini as Joe. Stephen Luoto is dubbing Dominic Rocky, who's sort of I think he plays Tim at the very beginning of the film, Mike's friend that they find at the apartment. Um, let's see here. I think I don't know this for sure. I think it's Gregory Snegoff who's dubbing Danilo Mattei as Rudy. Pat Stark is dubbing Lorraine DeSalle as Gloria. Frank von Kugelgen is dubbing Giovanni Lombardo Radici as Mike. I think that might be all I've got, but there were more of them for this one. Oh, Susan Spafford is dubbing Fiamma Malioni as Myrna.
Okay. Music on this one, Roberto Daniti, and as you mentioned, Fiamma Maggioloni. We got cinematography was done by Giovanni Bergamini. Did the cinematography in this one, which is shot well. It definitely looks well. Music,
I think Alabiso did the editing for this one as well.
he did.
So,
Yep.
yeah.
How did you feel editing was actually Enzo Minnesoni.
Oh, okay. Maybe Alabiso did the other one. I'm not sure.
Yeah. What did you think of the music in this one? I don't think we mentioned that.
Very disco-y, very, very fun for the New York scenes. And then you got, I think, the music that ended up being in Eaten Alive as well for some of the scenes in the jungle. I mean, I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, same. Let's see. So what else we got on this one? You got anything else you want to talk about on this one?
So we got our rankings here.
Oh, yeah.
Radice, this actually officially makes him a Hall of Famer, and we're not done yet. There's going to be more
Yes.
that we do from him actually fairly soon as well. But you got Body Puzzle, Phantom of Death, House on the Edge of the Park in this film. So that officially cements his Hall of Fame status for the show. And there will be more from him eventually. Lorraine DeSalle, I think this is just her second film. House on the Edge of the Park being the other one, so that makes her an all-star. I did want to check Danilo Mattei real quick, but I don't think we've done anything else with him. Zora Korova, House with the Laughing Windows, which I think she only plays like a background part. Anthropophagus, and I think that those are the only three, so that makes her a superstar. Robert Kerman, he's also a superstar, and I think this might be the last film we do with him. John Bartha, I wanted to check because Don't Torture a Duckling, he plays one of the cops. Eyeball, he's one of the characters. So that makes him a superstar as well. Venantino Venantini. Let's see here. I think we must have done something with him, maybe. Seven Deaths in the Cat's Eye.
Nice.
And we haven't done Banditos on the show. So we did we do Nine Guests for we did do Nine Guests for a Crime. That was fairly recently actually. Mm-hmm. So that also makes him a superstar because that's 3 films. And we're not done with him yet either. We're going to see him again eventually as well. That might be all I got besides Perry Perkinen, who was also in Cannibal Holocaust. And we might do one more film with him where he has a small part. So that makes him an all-star as well.
Nice. Definitely cool, man. I love hearing that. If you go over to Letterboxd and you go to Greg Mortis, you can follow me over there. And that is where we have our list. If you go to my page and then you go to list, you'll see that we have a Black Glove Mysteries movies list. And we have officially, I believe I'm up to date, 154 films reviewed so far on Black Glove Mysteries. So there we go, moving right along. So with that said, where do we come in on a rating for Cannibal Ferox?
I'm going to give it a 9.
Okay. I was 8.5 to a 9. I'll bump it to a 9. So I'll go with that. I'll give it a 9 for Cannibal Ferox. And that, once again, we'll conclude, except we got a couple voicemails to get to, but there is those movies once again. So very cool. Let's get to these voicemails. We got two Ian tonight. So let's go to all right, here we go. So let's go to this voicemail here. Let me see. It takes me a second to do these. As you're watching this, you're probably like, what are you doing, Greg? I'm trying to make it work. All right, so let's go to our first voicemail for the night here.
Hello, Black Gloves Mysteries. Hey, I don't usually call in for Black Gloves Mysteries, but the episodes about the cannibal movies have been really good. I'm not a cannibal movie fan because of the animal cruelty or animal abuse, whatever you want to call it, that seems to be part of those. And so this latest episode where you guys were discussing Slave of the Cannibal God and Eaten Alive was interesting because you kind of got into that and, about the reasons for it and stuff. And so that was good to know there was some justification of logic to it. But, I get their exploitation movies and it was a different time, et cetera. But in coming out of like the Mondo movies and things like that. But Ian, you were really helpful. You mentioned that if somebody wants to watch a cannibal movie that doesn't have animal abuse in it, to check out Massacre in Dinosaur Valley, which, as it turns out, is on Tubi. And I'm taking a look. Watched about half an hour, and good setup. There was a little bit of a cockfight in a hotel bar, but other than that, no real animal cruelty. They still haven't gotten into the jungle yet, so hopefully there won't be too much of this, terrible stuff. I just can't stomach it. But anyway, glad to hear you had some advice for somebody that wanted to check out a different kind of cannibal movies. I really appreciate that. And freaking A, man, Ian, when you were talking about what is it that people in interviews have said that the appeal of cannibalism is the meat is the most delicious meat, or that's the lore. Anyway, the lore of it is then once a person goes cannibal, they won't go back or won't eat any other kind of meat. That is the lore. And you were saying like, well, if that's the truth, then more people would be doing it. And, and just the way you were riffing on it, cracked me up. I appreciated the humor. And, anyway, I'll go before I get, black gloved or whatever you call it on here when somebody runs out of time. Anyway, keep up the good work and, I'll catch y'all on the flip side. Bye.
And that's G-Reg, the other Greg from Wilmington, North Carolina. And love G-Reg. Appreciate him calling in. That's a good call. I like that, Ian.
Yeah.
Let's see. We got one more call here. And this one is from Luke. So let's go to this one. And we'll be right back. Here we go.
Hey guys, Luke Urza calling, Black Glove Mysteries, with some thoughts on, the man from Deep River. So, pretty interesting, as far as cannibal movies actually kind of tame, maybe as far as cannibal movies go. I found it interesting that the main character, John, initially condemns a lot of the rituals that the tribe is conducting and doing. And then, obviously at the end, he seems to accept a lot of them, the rituals and life with the tribe. The whole, I'm thinking it was some kind of warrior indoctrination ceremony ritual where he gets a whole bunch of blow darts, darts blown into him and stuff. I thought that was kind of interesting. But, overall, entertaining, but again, interesting that I get that he needs to adjust and adapt to, moving from captive or, to maybe living and thriving, if I can say that, with the tribe. and obviously marrying the chief's daughter and this and that. But, overall, good. I liked it. It wasn't tremendously graphic, although some of the rituals, like, I don't know, with some of the rituals were a little bit awkward, I suppose. But overall, thanks, guys, for the recommendation of that movie, and have a good show, guys.
Nice. Luke calling in. Great call, my friend. Good calls tonight, Ian.
Yeah, and I had told him, I was like, if you're looking for a movie that's less rough, watch Man from Deep River, not Cannibal Ferox.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Good stuff, Harris. I appreciate the calls. Once again, if you want to call in and have your call heard on air, you can call 1-804-569-5682. We ask that before, it's an automated voicemail, say Black Glove Mysteries before you say anything. So once your voicemail starts, go Black Glove Mysteries. That way I can flag it and know that that's what it's for. And we'll play it on here and try to answer your call, or if you're just giving whatever, we'll play that if we can. So there you go. So Ian, that is the episode tonight, man. Once again, Sacrifice, Man from Deep River, as well as Cannibal Ferox. So what is the next episode of Black Glove Mysteries going to be?
Okay, so we're kind of continuing with the cannibal sort of cycle, and we're going to a Massacre in Dinosaur Valley.
Nice. You got the slip, dude. Is that?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the 4K?
No, it's just a Blu-ray.
Blu-ray? Okay.
Yeah.
Yep, same. I like the slip. I wish I'd have got the slip, but that's okay. Nice. So there you go.
And then we're doing another film by the same director, Michele Massimo Tarantini, who just died fairly recently, actually. So it's kind of a good way to honor him.
Yeah.
We're doing A Man Called Magnum, which I have the No Shame DVD of. It stars Luke Miranda.
Nice. I do not own that one, but I can't wait to check it out. So that is going to be the next episode over here on Black Glove Mystery. So I hope you will tune in, and if you can find them, check those movies out so you can follow along with us. I always ask that you do that. It makes it a little funner, I think, Ian, that you can kind of follow. And if we do spoil anything, it's not fully on purpose, but if we do spoil anything, it won't bother you as much.
Man Called Magnum is on YouTube. You can look it up.
There you go. I mean, heck yeah. So that's it, man. That's been it. Man, this has been super fun. So Dude McCann over there on YouTube, appreciate you chiming in on the episodes. So far, we've had a few comments, but Dude does comment on some of them, and I really appreciate that, and would love to see some more feedback on the show as well that way. But that said, Ian, what do you got in final thoughts for this show as we wrap up?
So you can add me on Facebook or Letterboxd by typing in my name. You can follow me on Twitter, Blue Sky, or Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. Twitter, Blue Sky, Instagram, at Urzanomics.
Nice. Check out all these. If you go to landofthecreeps.blogspot.com and you click on the show note for this episode, you'll see all those links down below. You can get all Ian's information over there. For me, you can follow us at Facebook, Instagram, X. Hit that subscribe button to this YouTube channel. I would love for that, and give us a thumbs up on it. And if you're listening, this won't be on video, but if you're listening, the Mortis Vision with the Mortises with Pearl and I, my wife and I, as we're going into Asian cinema now, this is going to be the movie we're going to be reviewing. So little teaser if you're into the audio section of Land of the Creeps. Kuroneko, this is the Criterion release, and this is from Kaneto Shindo. And we're about an hour in on this one now. We still got a few more minutes to watch this, and it's really good, strong film, man. So anyway, so that's what Pearl and I are going to be reviewing on Mortis Vision with the Mortises. So if you are on Spotify or on Apple or wherever you listen to your podcast platforms, you'll hear Pearl and I talking about that right after this episode. So we're going to get out of here. We love you guys and gals. We're going to see you on the flip side. Stay tuned. I do have a Vinegar Syndrome. Once it hits the door, I'll do a unboxing for the subscription month. That video will be coming up. I've got some more movies that I'll be end of the month type situation. Picked up some titles have been sent and stuff, so we'll have that coming up. So with that said, we're going to get out of here. Ian, how do we like to close the episode?
Get your jolly on.
That's right. We'll see you on the flip side. Help keep horror alive. We do that one movie at a time, one review at a time. Till next time. Peace. Stop